Hello, everybody. This is Trip here, and I kind of wanted to make this video here to talk about something pretty serious, pretty important. I meant to make a video talking about this like several weeks ago, but it just never happened, and so I'm making it now. So, you guys may know about COPPA, the thing that was released like a month ago, I think, or maybe more than that. I honestly can't remember the exact time frame, but pretty much I wanted to make this video today since the live commenting ended today on the FTC's website. So, in other words, you cannot submit feedback anymore as of today. So I kind of wanted to make this just explaining like what I'm going to do about this and just kind of tell people what exactly it is for those that don't know or don't really understand quite how serious this is. So let's get into it, I suppose. So basically what COPPA is it is a law that was made in 1998 by the FTC, aka the Federal Trade Commission. So pretty much what this law states is that websites cannot track the data of children, aka people under the age of 13, which, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you don't want websites tracking your children's data. Like, you don't want websites knowing, like, how old your child is, where your child lives, like, what kind of patterns they use on the internet, what kind of sites they look up, what kind of things they search for. Like, you don't want people to have that kind of information, especially from children. So this kind of law really does make sense. And it was a good thing, and it still is a good thing because all websites use this. So pretty much what happened with this whole COPPA thing that's going around is that, you know, the whole thing on YouTube where it says you have to mark your videos as for kids or not for kids, right? Well, that kind of started because of this law. So pretty much for several years, YouTube was able to get away with the fact that they were still tracking kids' data because on their app description, it says that people under the age of 13 cannot use the app. And so they kind of used that as an excuse. And for the longest time, the FTC just, I guess, accepted it because it's in their terms and service after all, so it must make sense. But it was found out this year, I suppose. I don't know all of the information exactly, but I do know a good chunk. So the good chunk is what I'm telling you right now. But pretty much, the FTC found out that YouTube had been tracking data all along, and so they fined them. And this fine was a pretty significant amount of money. I think it was somewhere in the millions. I would have to look it up to see exactly what it is, but it was a huge amount of money. And of course, knowing YouTube, they're owned by Google now, so you would think, okay, well, that kind of money is easy for them to pay off. They would just pay it off and just move on and everything would be fine and dandy, right? Well, not quite. So pretty much what the FTC and YouTube did was they came to a compromise because I guess YouTube didn't want to pay the fine, which, I mean, no one wants to pay a fine, but this compromise is one that is pretty vague and would hurt a lot of people. So pretty much this compromise is what you've been seeing throughout YouTube, which is the mark your videos as for kids or not for kids. But the thing is that the guidelines are extremely, extremely vague. And I can read you some of the bullet points here. So pretty much there is a list made by YouTube that kind of gives some points about how you can determine if your video is for kids or not. The points are very vague and just real black and white. There's no gray point. Like, there really is no family-friendly point, or I'm a channel that makes family-friendly content, but isn't directed towards adults or just for kids. There's nothing like that. The points are so. It says, when deciding whether or not your channel or video is made for kids, you should consider various factors, including subject matter of the video. So, like, educational content, like, that kids would want to learn, like ABCs, numbers, colors, stuff like that. Whether children are your intended or actual audience for the video. So, yeah, of course, that's pretty self-explanatory. Whether the video includes child actors or models, sorry. So, you know, people like Jojo Siwa would, I guess, be a child actor. Well, actually, no, not quite. Child actors, I suppose, would just be, yeah, you know, actors and models that are under 13 years of age. Whether the video includes characters, celebrities, or toys that appeal to children, including animated characters or cartoon figures. Now, this is the area that worries me the most because I am a cartoonist. I don't animate characters, but I do draw them, and the characters that I do draw are cartoons more than half of the time. So that is very worrisome, especially since the fact that just simply posting a video with my cartoon drawings in it, whether it be like a speed paint or whatnot, could get me in trouble. And that is really, really horrifying. And the part that says celebrities, characters, or toys. So pretty much, you know, like toys like, let's say, Littlest Pet Shop or Legos. Those are kids' toys, or they're considered kids' toys. Celebrities, you know, people like Jojo Siwa or the Paul brothers. Those people appeal to children. So this is what they would consider for kids. And then, of course, yeah, animated characters or cartoon figures. So, you know, characters like Mickey Mouse or characters from like Disney Junior or Nickelodeon Junior or whatever it's called. So, you know, characters like that. Whether the language of the video is intended for children to understand. So very simple language like, hey guys, so today we're going to, so very simple language that is meant for a child to understand, nothing that's too complicated, I suppose. So things like a tutorial for web coding would definitely not be for kids. Whether the video includes activities that appeal to children, such as play acting, simple songs or games, or early education. I guess that's fairly self-explanatory. Whether the video includes songs, stories, or poems for children. So, you know, like Baby Shark or someone singing like Mary Had a Little Lamb or something. That's kind of what that means. Any other information you may have to help determine your video's audience, like empirical evidence of the video's audience, which I don't know what that means. I'm sure people do, though. But I sure as heck don't. And now it pretty much says YouTube Analytics is not designed to help determine if your content is child-directed. You should use the factors outlined by the FTC above to set your audience. So the thing is that what are the analytics for then? Why are they there if they're not meant to help us determine who our main audience is? It literally says in the analytics, here's your main age group that watches your videos. Here's the main gender that watches your videos, so on and so forth. So now they're basically saying that analytics don't matter. That makes no sense. How old is a kid? The age of a kid in the United States is defined as anyone under the age of 13, which, yeah. However, the age of a kid may be higher in other countries, so consider the factors described above as appropriate, given how a kid is defined in applicable laws in your country, and consult legal counsel if you have additional questions. So pretty much they're saying, if you have any additional questions, if you're confused still about what you're supposed to do, you need to pay for a lawyer. I can tell you right off the bat that not everyone here can pay for a lawyer, and I am one of them. It just seems so like a smack to the face, like, oh, well, if you can't understand what we're saying, then you have to pay to understand. Like, no, we're not going to do this. You should have given us clearer guidelines so that we wouldn't have to hire legal counsel. But okay, whatever. And so then there is a list that has been made saying what happens if you mark your video as for kids. So pretty much if you mark your video as for kids, you lose out on a whole bunch of opportunities, and it's honestly crazy. So just to name, well, I'm gonna name all of the options, I guess, or all of the things on the list. So the first one is the video will have no notifications. So if people have post notifications turned on for your videos, they will not receive them. And so if you want people to watch your videos, you have to manually tell them, or make sure that they are manually clicking a link to view your video. The video will have no comments, so comments will be disabled, so you can receive no feedback whatsoever. The video will not be searchable, so yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. You cannot search for the video in the search bar. You have to actually have a manual link to find it. The video will not be suggested/recommended, which is huge because like most views come from recommendations. Like, of course, after you're done watching a video, sometimes you'll see a recommended video, right? Like, and most of the time it has to do with the video that you watched before, and so you're like, okay, well, that's interesting, so you click it. In this case, your video will not show up there at all, and so therefore you cannot gain extra viewage. And the thing that really affects people the most, it doesn't affect me because I'm not monetized. However, people that are monetized are very, very angry about this. And that is the video will make 60 to 90% less ad revenue. That is huge. So if you are making a living off of YouTube, you no longer can if your video has to be marked as for kids. It's honestly crazy. So to do the math real quick, if you make $100 on a YouTube video, usually, in this case, if your video is for kids, you will make only about $40 to $10. That's it. $10 to $40 versus your regular $100. And that is huge for people, like I said, who make a living on this platform, because it's no longer going to be able to pay their bills. And that's really, really scary. Like I said, it doesn't really affect, well, the last bullet point anyway, doesn't really affect people that aren't monetized channels because we don't get ad revenue. But for people who do get ad revenue, that's very, very scary for them. And so, yes, as I mentioned earlier, the comments on the FTC's website closed today. So you could no longer go to their website and write your opinion about all this anymore. They're going to be gathering those comments together and I guess reviewing them. And they'll be making an ultimatum decision around the end of this month, from what I heard. So what does that mean for me? I know that I'm a pretty small channel. You would think that none of this would affect me, and you're probably thinking the same thing about yours. Like, I'm a small channel, I don't have thousands and thousands of subscribers, why in the world would this affect me? Which, it does affect you more than you might think. Because like I mentioned earlier, even if you're not a monetized channel, if you have to mark your video as for kids, you could still lose out on so many opportunities. And the thing that I haven't even mentioned yet, which is the scariest part, is the fine that might come in place for you. So let's say you say, well, I don't want to lose out on comments or searchable terms or whatnot, so I'm going to mark my video as not for kids anyway. But if the FTC or YouTube determines that it is actually for kids, you could get in really big trouble. And you could end up getting a $42,000 fine. And that is huge. So you would think that YouTube, if they would have just paid off that fine that they got, everything would have been fine and dandy. They could have moved on. We could have moved on. But instead, they're putting this upon us, even though we weren't the ones tracking children's data. They were, not us. And so it's very questionable and it's very strange. Like $42,000 could put most people in bankruptcy. It definitely would me. So that is extremely scary. So scary to think about. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, what is going to happen with me? I'm not sure if too many people care, to be honest, but for those of you who do, thank you for sticking around. I appreciate it so much, even though I am very inconsistent on here. So as I said earlier, I do a lot of cartoon work. All of my thumbnails pretty much are cartoons, and I speed paint cartoon characters. So that puts me at a really big risk, and it puts animators at a big risk too. And it also puts toy review channels and, you know, channels that like showcase like figurines and that do like, you know, the videos where they're like showcasing like Littlest Pet Shop or Polly Pocket or whatever it might be. They're in a lot of big trouble too because of this. So recently some news came out that the FTC didn't want this to be as big of a thing as it ended up being. They understand that not all cartoons are made for kids. So hopefully, I'm really hoping the guidelines will get changed to have more of a gray area, more of a family-friendly area, and not just kids or not for kids, because that's what's confusing so many people. But if those guidelines do not get changed and they stay the same and the law remains the way it is now, this is what I'm unfortunately going to have to do, and I don't want to do it, but I am not willing to risk anything because I cannot afford a fine, and I don't want to lose out on comments and feedback and stuff like that. I really don't. So what I'm gonna do, if the law does not change, if they end up making their decision and everything stays the same, I will be deleting everything except for my vlog videos, because my vlog videos are obviously not for children. Vlog videos are kind of a way just to enjoy myself. They're things that I make for myself mostly, which is very unfortunate because I mostly wanted this channel to be an art channel, but since I draw cartoons, that really puts me in the water, and I don't want to risk anything, despite the FTC saying that not all cartoons are just for children, which is wonderful because that's true. But YouTube still hasn't updated anything. The FTC hasn't updated their guidelines. No one's updated anything. It's still very black and white, still very questionable. And so I'm not willing to risk anything. So yeah, when the decision comes out, I will be downloading all my videos just in case something happens. I will be keeping all of my vlog videos. So then that means that my art videos are going away. My game videos are going away because Luigi's Mansion is cartoon work. So there's really no boundaries of whether Luigi's Mansion is for kids or not. It says E10 plus, which 10 is a child's age still. So I'm afraid that would still be considered as a children's game, which it's not necessarily, because obviously adults play it too. But like I said, I am not willing to risk anything, because if I end up getting fined somehow, I will probably be the rest of my life, and I am not willing to risk that. So if the decision comes out and you end up seeing like 95% of my videos disappear, that's why. And I just wanted you guys to know why that is. But hopefully, since so many people have spoken up about it and have stated their negativities about it, I really hope that they decide to change things and that the law gets altered, or that YouTube decides to make more of a gray area in between there, like a family-friendly option, so that way channels won't be so freaked out, so confused, and worried that they're gonna have a fine looming over their heads all the time. So yeah, that's just why I wanted to make this video, just to kind of explain what's going on, why YouTubers are so freaked out. Well, not everyone is, I suppose. There's been a lot of people that haven't even talked about this yet, but to the people who are scared about it, I just kind of wanted to explain more so what it's about, I suppose, how it came up, and just to kind of say what I'll be doing about it. So, thank you guys very much for stopping by. I don't think I'll be uploading anything until the final decision comes out. So in that case, I will see you guys wherever I may see you, whether it be on a different platform or on Twitch. See you soon.